The Japanese forgave the person. The
Yes,
emperor gave her the flag as a souvenir. But the Australian Swimming Union suspended her for 10 years.
Maybe we should send them a washing machine.
Yes, just to complete what I was saying, or no, I just want to complete what I'm saying. I have seen sections of the Australian media, they're coming down pretty heavily on their Commonwealth athletes. In fact, some of them are suggesting that they be absolutely, sort of barred from future events for a while, and that the punishments that have been meted out, I believe the wrestler has been told to train young wrestlers, upcoming wrestlers for the next, 1 year. And one Australian journalist suggested that we throw in the man who threw the washing machine and the cyclist into the wrestling ring as well as punishment. So there has been a lot of criticism from the Australian media. But I completely agree. I don't understand why the CWG committee was so wishy-washy about it.
Well, the foreign minister was wishy-washy. No, the foreign minister was wishy-washy. Our foreign minister dismissed it off.
And the foreign minister was wishy-washy.
And because our foreign minister is dismissing it off, because Mr. Lalit Bhanot and Suresh Kalmadi are wishing it off, that's why perhaps the Australian High Commissioner feels strengthened.
Is this an issue for the... But is this an issue? I agree with Mr. Parthasarathi. Is this a diplomatic issue? I don't think so.
No, but by the same logic. By the same logic, there were a lot of people, Mr. Farooq Dhondia, and I'll get Mr. Parthasarathi into it, who said when Indians were getting thrashed down in Australia, a lot of people who said this is not a diplomatic issue. Did these students ask us before going to Australia? Why should we help them if they are being thrashed? Maybe they did something wrong. We have a tendency of playing everything down to our own detriment. Mr. Dhondi, you remember what happened then?
Absolutely. And
I completely remember what happened then. But Adnan, that was an extremely serious incident. Murdering people in Australia is very different from throwing washing machines out of 8th floor windows. If somebody had been killed, and it was quite possible that somebody would be passing by, it would be a murder inquiry now.
No, but the fact is the incident has been acknowledged by the organizing committee. My question is the same Mr. Parthasarathi raised. Why did nobody talk about it? Why did we cover it up? It's not throwing a washing machine down. If you see the extent of damage which has been reported here, it is an act of crude and desperate vandalism. Mr. Parthasarathi, what about the cover-up that was going on till it came up in the media? Isn't that an issue?
No, it's absolutely an issue. I really think the Commonwealth Games Committee has got into a habit of talking half-truths or untruths.
That's true.
This has become a habit for quite some time now. But Arnab, on the larger diplomatic issue, I would like to say this. Foreign ministers don't get involved in incidents like this. For example, when I was in Australia, we had incidents in sports and all, we ignored it. But when they misbehaved with our military officers after our nuclear tests, for 5 years we ended military contacts. We stopped their ships from calling at our ports. We stopped their Air Force aircraft from overflying Indian airspace. We ended training. Now, those are circumstances when national honor is at stake, that the foreign minister or the foreign ministry or even a high commissioner gets involved. As I said, I don't agree with Peter having got involved. It was really for the Australian chef de mission. But having said that, I think if the police have CCTV footage, let them put it out on time.
They're not releasing it. No, they're not releasing it. They have been told not to release it.
No, that may be
because the police has been told not to release the CCTV footage. What does that tell us? And also, I just have one point to make.
That tells you the camera may not have been working.
My question.
See, don't get too alarmed. If the CCTV footage is not available, it has something to do with the equipment that Lalit Bhanot and his colleagues may have bought.
Again, let me make a serious point here. My issue is the reaction of the Australian, I think he's the head of the CWG, Perry Crosswhite, who completely denies the Australian athletes did anything wrong. That's my issue, Padma. He hasn't even issued an apology.
In fact, yes. I wanted to just say earlier on your program, I'm really surprised.
I just want to say
I'm really surprised that
I think the CWG is being foolish.
Who you mentioned has gone from denying initially. He completely denied that Australian athletes were involved at all. He said that they were athletes of another team who happened to be partying in the same block where the Australians lived. And so I'm surprised to hear him even admit that it was an Australian, but we're not giving you the name. I'm amazed at his reaction.
I agree with what Mr. Parthasarathi is saying, that these are not diplomatic issues. However, Why was it covered up by the police and the organizing committee is the point, Mr. Parthasarathi. I'm sure you agree with me on that. You were making a point there. Yes, go
absolutely.
ahead.
I absolutely will say this, that I think whatever evidence we have, including people who were on duty, who were witness to this, including the costs involved, I think what the Australians are going to be billed for this should be made public.
I think more than the money, isn't it an apology that we should seek? Sam, what would you say?
Well,
I would just say that you mentioned the possibility of a cover-up. I think there's an issue generally here about security at the Games, at the Games Village.
Yeah, go on. I want you to make your point in detail, Sam. Yeah. Should we seek an apology? Do you think we should seek an official apology from at least the Australian delegation? Will that be in order, Sam?
Yeah, I think that's fine. I just think you've got to stop making it an incident between two nations.
That's true.
It looks like some individuals lost control, did some things that they should never have done, unforgivably, but have done it. And you need to move on from that. I'm a bit disappointed. I just left Delhi yesterday, and I thought today we would be talking about the legacy, we would be talking about corruption. Instead, we're talking about an incident which, though relevant, isn't the big story at the moment, and we ought to be covering that, I think.
Sam, let me tell you. The biggest story on Times Now is the story of corruption. The biggest story on Times Now tonight is the fact the Prime Minister has actually asked for a 3-month inquiry. I think you're absolutely right. I'm with you on that. That is a big story, and we will debate it right after this tonight.
So we also need to talk about the legacy of the Games as well. We mustn't forget that.
But Arnab...
So the legacy till now at least is Mr. Suresh Kalmadi.
Arnab, I just want...
Yeah. Okay, Suhel.
But Arnab, you have to understand. That whatever Sam Miller... Padma, can we just speak without being... Thank you, my dear. I have to tell you that what Sam is saying is true, but there are linkages with Australian behavior. The washing machine is an indicator of things to come, that we will wash dirty linen in public.
Point well made. I think it's going across a long way,
right.
Padma.
Yeah, thank you, Suhel. Finally get a word in edgeways when you start. There's no stopping you. No, I just wanted to say that, you know, when there was this Ricky Ponting incident, when Ricky Ponting pushed Sharad Pawar off the stage, and then there was another incident with the famous monkey incident. I remember between Andrew Simons and Bhaji, I remember, you know, extensive television coverage of inquiries, judges sitting in, you know, in front of the players, counseling and all kinds of things going on. So, you know, all the more reason why I, like everyone else on this panel, I find, you know, it's very suspect that the CWG committee itself doesn't seem to want to do anything. I mean, sure, we're all fatigued, you know, and we're happy that the games are over. But then, I mean, this is not a minor incident. And as somebody else was saying on this panel, if that washing machine had fallen on somebody, then, you know, they would have been in bigger trouble. And they should be in big trouble anyway, even just for this.
Yeah, I think I want to take a vote at the end of this. And... because this is the bigger issue. I think, Sam, you've nailed it on the head. The bigger issue is the corruption issue. And I just want to take a vote from you, since there's no other way of putting it across in one go. I raise my hand. Would you please raise your hand if you believe that in 3 months we will get the names of the really corrupt people at the top to the inquiry the Prime Minister has just initiated? Do you think so? I'm not taking a position on this, but where do you stand? I just want to see. You think there will be, Suhel? Okay. Mr. Parthasarathi?
I think they're serious this time. They're serious. They're serious. There's intense media pressure, and I have a lot of faith that Manmohan Singh will deliver, because this is the only chance. From hereafter, it'll be cynicism turning into indifference. No government can afford an indifferent citizen. You may be able to tolerate cynicism, but indifference is even worse.
I think that's so important. National pride versus national shame. Can I get a sense of where the others stand?
I have a lot of faith in Dr. Manmohan Singh, but I have no faith in the long-winded procedures that are going to mark this inquiry.
Okay, Mr. Parthasarathi.
You know, I have been too long in government, 37 years. Small fry get caught, the big fish get away. I hope that would not be the case this time, because I was abroad, Arunab, when this happened. And I couldn't show my face as an Indian. Suhel was with me also at that point in time. The way we were being lampooned for this corruption. I think for the sake of the country, I hope really the big fish get it in the neck this time.
Absolutely. We'd really like to focus on that. Farooq and Sam. Sam, you raised this issue first. What do you think?
I'm extremely
I mean, I think the big fish, some big fish will get caught. I think the issue, though, is whether those who turned a blind eye to corruption will get caught. And that involves so many more people, important figures, who over the years have turned a blind eye to this kind of activity, even if they're not being directly corrupt all the time themselves. And I think there's the problem.
Right. Okay, last word from Farooq Dhondi on that. That's the next panel we are moving on to. You know, we are absolutely disgusted at the Australian athletes' behavior, but I agree with you. It's not a diplomatic incident. We only raised this issue because I don't think in any other country these athletes would have got away without even a basic police inquiry or an FIR being filed. But on the issue of corruption, where do you stand, Farooq?
I've never seen an Indian inquiry producing any very definite positive results. I'm extremely skeptical that at the end of 3 months we will really get the big fish in that net. I doubt if it'll happen. There'll be prevarications of all sorts.
No, that's the reality.
On the Australian business, I think the Australians should have an internal inquiry, and we should certainly make heavier washing machines.
We will focus on the big. We'll focus on the big issue. We have so many puns on washing machines on this program. I think there'll be no end to it. Maybe washing machine manufacturers will feel very happy about what's going on. No, Suhel.
One quick suggestion.
Yeah.
Quick suggestion. Loan some of our retired Supreme Court judges and retired bureaucrats to the Australians for their inquiry. We'll have less commissions to pay for from the taxpayers' money.
Okay, gentlemen, I'll wrap it up here by only saying there is nothing to be proud about the shameless loot of public money which happened. Prime Minister is telling us tonight, in 3 months we'll get to know who did it. We want to know who did it, but will we actually get the results?